Hey there, and welcome back aboard. Today, I want to talk about something that doesn't get covered as often in the glossy photos and epic adventure clips: loneliness. Sailing solo can be one of the most freeing experiences out there, but it also comes with long stretches of quiet, still moments that can feel, well, heavy. And it's not just about being alone physically. It's that emotional quiet that sneaks up when the radio's silent, the sea is endless, and there's no one else to laugh with, vent to, or share the sunset. Over the years, I've learned a few ways to handle those moments. Some are simple habits, others are more personal shifts in mindset, but all of them have helped me stay steady, connected, and content while out here on my own. Whether you're a fellow solo sailor, or just curious about what goes on inside the mind of someone alone on a boat for weeks at a time, I hope this list gives you a little insight. So here are 10 ways I handle loneliness while sailing solo. Real tools that keep me grounded, day after day, mile after mile. Let's dive in. Writing in a journal has become one of my most consistent habits out on the water. There's something grounding about sitting down at the end of the day, pen in hand, and just pouring it all out. Where I've been, what I've seen, how I'm feeling. It doesn't need to be poetic or polished. Some days, it's just a few lines about the weather or a bird I spotted circling the stern. Other days, it's page after page of thoughts I didn't even know I had. The act of writing gives my mind something to settle into. It helps structure the time, and it gives me a place to unload the mental clutter that can build up when there's no one else around. Over time, those journals turn into a kind of conversation with myself. Looking back at older entries, I get reminded of how far I've come, how I handled tough days, or the joy in small moments I might have forgotten. It's more than just a record, it's a lifeline to myself. When you're out here with no one else to talk to, a journal can be the quiet companion that always listens. Just hearing another voice can change the whole energy of a day. Even if it's just a quick weather check on the VHF or a good morning to a nearby boat, that little bit of connection helps me remember I'm not as alone as it feels sometimes. There's a kind of community among cruisers, even when we're scattered across different anchorages or moving in opposite directions. Checking in with a cruiser net, joining a call-in on the SSB, or even hailing someone I recognize passing by, it brings a sense of shared experience to this solitary life. Sometimes those quick chats lead to plans to meet ashore, share a meal, or help each other out with a part or tool. And even when they don't, the interaction itself reminds me that others are out here doing the same thing, facing the same seas and weather, and maybe even the same feelings. That sense of being part of a wider network, even if it's spread thin across the ocean, helps keep loneliness from taking root. It's not about deep conversations, just a simple, regular human contact that makes the world feel a little smaller and a lot warmer. When the wind dies down and the sea turns flat, or when I'm deep into a long solo stretch, turning on some music or an audiobook can completely transform the atmosphere. Music sets a tone, fills the silence, and sometimes even becomes a soundtrack to whatever I'm going through that day, whether it's patching a sail, making lunch, or watching a storm roll in from the horizon. Audiobooks are another powerful tool. They keep the brain engaged and make the hours pass with a sense of purpose and story. It's like having someone on board telling a tale while I go about the business of sailing. There's something comforting about voices in the background, especially when they're familiar or well performed. I rotate between fiction, history, sailing stories, and the occasional podcast. It's easy to download a few before setting off, and most devices will play for hours on low battery. The best part is that this kind of entertainment doesn't just pass time, it keeps my mind company. In the quietest parts of a passage, when the loneliness starts to feel heavier, even just a song or a story can make things feel a little more connected and alive. Staying active is more than just about fitness. It's a mental game changer when sailing solo. On quiet days when the boat's steady or at anchor, I'll take a few minutes to stretch, do bodyweight exercises, or just move around with a purpose. Nothing fancy, just enough to get the blood flowing and the mind alert. Even when I'm not doing an actual workout, there's always something physical to do on the boat. Scrubbing the deck, checking rigging, reorganizing lockers. These kinds of tasks serve a double purpose. They keep the boat in good shape and keep my head clear. Physical movement helps me burn off that restless energy that can build up when I haven't talked to anyone in a while or when the weather's got me stuck in a small space. It brings me back into my body and out of my head, which is often exactly what I need. The routine of moving, sweating a little, and getting things done also gives me a sense of accomplishment. When loneliness creeps in, action, any kind of action, helps push it back. It's one of the simplest tools I have, and it works every single time. Taking the time to cook real meals does more than just keep me fed. It adds structure, comfort, and a sense of normalcy to life at sea. When I'm sailing solo, it's easy to fall into the habit of quick snacks or skipping meals altogether, especially when I'm tired or a bit low. But making the effort to prepare something proper, even if it's just a simple stew or some pasta, gives the day rhythm and helps lift the mood. The smells, the warmth from the stove, the act of chopping and stirring, it all brings a homely feeling into the cabin. It's also a good way to stay mindful. Cooking slows me down, keeps me present, and makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself instead of just getting by. When I sit down and eat a proper plate of food, it feels grounding in a way that few things do out here. I usually plan meals that are easy to make and can be stored in portions, which means I'm never far from something warm and satisfying. It's a daily ritual that feeds both body and mind, and it plays a big part in keeping loneliness in check. Nature has a quiet way of keeping me company. Whether it's a pod of dolphins riding the bull wave, seabirds gliding along the mast, or just the ever-changing shapes of the clouds and waves, there's always something alive and moving out here. Taking time to really notice it all helps shift my focus from inward to outward. It breaks up the solitude by reminding me I'm part of a bigger system, one that's wild, beautiful, and full of life. Some days I'll spend an hour just watching flying fish skitter across the surface or tracking a storm's slow buildup on the horizon. These small moments of connection with the natural world have a calming effect. They also give me something to look forward to. You never know what you'll see on any given day at sea. Turtles, whales, even the stars overhead become part of the routine. Observing nature turns the isolation into an opportunity for wonder. Instead of feeling cut off, I start to feel included in something vast and meaningful. It's a simple but powerful way to stay engaged, stay curious, and stay grounded when I'm far from everything else. Staying in touch with the people who matter most makes a huge difference during solo voyages. Even just a short message, a voice memo, or a sat phone call helps break that emotional distance that can creep in during long stretches alone. Technology has made it a lot easier these days. I can send updates through satellite messaging or connect during brief windows of signal near the coast. I try not to let too many days pass without at least a small check-in. It's not about long conversations, though those are nice when they happen. It's about keeping that thread alive. Sharing a photo, hearing someone laugh on the other end, or just knowing someone's out there following the journey adds a layer of support that can't be underestimated. Sometimes I'll write longer messages offline and send them when I next get service. It helps me stay connected, even if the reply doesn't come right away. These small moments of contact make the miles feel shorter. They remind me that I'm not really out here alone, that I've got a crew of loved ones cheering me on, even from far away. Setting small, realistic goals gives structure and purpose to solo sailing days. Without anyone around to push or plan with, it's easy for time to stretch out and feel undefined. So I break things into pieces. Things like cleaning one section of the boat, reading a chapter of a book, making a specific repair, or just sailing a certain number of miles before lunch. These goals don't have to be big. In fact, the smaller and more manageable they are, the better. They give me a sense of direction, a task to focus on, and a small win to check off. On long passages, I'll sometimes create a little log of things to accomplish each day, not as a to-do list, but more like gentle reminders that I'm moving forward. It's especially helpful when the weather's rough or the mood's low. Having a clear, achievable target, even something as simple as watching the sunset with a hot drink, adds shape to the day and lifts the spirit. It creates a quiet sense of momentum and helps steer the mind away from drifting into loneliness. The truth is, part of handling loneliness means not always trying to escape it. Over time, I've learned to make room for the quiet, to accept that being alone isn't the same as being lonely. Some days, I just sit in the cockpit and let the stillness be what it is. I think about past trips, people I've met, or where I might sail next. Other times, I do nothing at all. Just let the ocean speak in its own way. Solitude can feel heavy if it's resisted too hard, but when I allow it, something shifts. It becomes a space for reflection, for noticing things about myself I wouldn't have seen in a crowd or on land. There's peace in that, and strength too. I don't try to fill every moment or distract myself from every pause. Instead, I treat it as part of the journey. The sea has its own rhythm, and learning to move with it, not against it, has helped me grow in ways I never expected. Solitude, when embraced, becomes not a problem to solve, but a companion to understand. And that's made all the difference. So that's my list. 10 ways I keep loneliness in check while sailing solo. It's not always easy, but with a few steady habits and a bit of intention, the quiet becomes something I can live with, and sometimes even enjoy. Thanks for being here, and until next time, fair winds and good company, even if it's just the sea.